Hey, what's up everybody? I hope you're having a good day today, and I'm happy to be back this week for another episode of how to work the Mastermind GT with other MIDI devices. In today's video, we're going to go over how to use a Whammy pedal by Digitech with the GT. This is one of my favorite things to do with the Mastermind because it's great that we can have devices like this that are essentially just guitar pedals, but we can call up other presets within it for whenever we need pitch shifting of any kind. Not only am I going to go over how to call up presets with the GT to the Whammy pedal, but I'm also going to show you how you can hook up an expression pedal that can still control the pitch shifting on the Whammy pedal when it's sitting in a rack just like this. The Whammy pedal deals with two MIDI functions, mainly program changes and continuous controls. PCs, meaning program changes, are what we're going to use to call up different presets within. And then continuous controls will mainly focus on the pitch shifting of the actual expression pedal on it. So let's begin by going over connectivity with the Whammy pedal. Connectivity with the Whammy pedal is very simple. All we need is a single MIDI cable that will connect to the Whammy pedal's MIDI in and send to the Mastermind GT's MIDI out. However, if you are like me and you have multiple devices in your rack, I would recommend two things. You could either get a T8 by MIDI Solutions, or from the same brand, you can go ahead and pick up a MIDI splitter. And what these devices do is that they split the signal of multiple MIDI outputs so that in the case that you have multiple MIDI devices in your effect rig, you may hook each of them up individually. You don't have to worry about having a MIDI signal chain with a bunch of throughs. You can send everything in directly with a split signal, assign your channels, and then the MIDI in from the splitter that you're using will connect to the MIDI out connector on the Mastermind GT. However, if you were somebody that's running multiple devices in a continuous MIDI chain, I would recommend having the Whammy pedal being the very last thing in your chain. Reason being is because unlike most MIDI devices, the Whammy pedal only has the one connector, and that being the input, whereas most devices will either have an in and out or they'll include a MIDI through. So now that we got that covered, let's go ahead and start initializing the Whammy pedal's MIDI channel, and then we can open up the GT's menu and go from there. So let's continue setup by calibrating the MIDI channel we're going to use in the Whammy pedal. So the first thing we need to do is get the Whammy pedal into MIDI setup mode. However, I'm not going to do this in this video unfortunately because of the way my Whammy pedal is fortified in the tray of my rack. It would just be kind of a pain to get it free, and it takes a lot of clockwork to set it up, but that's fine because it's very simple. So what we're going to do is, from the Whammy pedal being in the off position, we're going to hold down the foot switch, and then we're going to plug in the power supply simultaneously. And then what's going to happen is, you're going to see the red LED on the pedal blink a bunch of times or go in like a circle, which is signaling that you're now in MIDI setup mode. So on the right hand side of where the presets are located on the Whammy pedal, these presets indicate which MIDI channel you're currently using, with MIDI channel number 1 starting from the top. Wherever the red LED is marked represents which MIDI channel you are using. So if I had my Whammy pedal in setup mode right now, you would see that I'm on channel 4 because the red LED is on the 4th preset down. So once you've selected which MIDI channel you'd like to go with, that's all you need to do in the Whammy pedal system. So just go ahead and tap the foot switch or hold it down to exit the MIDI menu. Alright, now that we've got that covered, let's go ahead and set up our Mastermind to get it ready to send commands. Okay guys, let's proceed by accessing the main menu in our Mastermind GT by holding down the two black buttons beneath the main display screen. So what we need to do is register the Whammy pedal as a device within the Mastermind so we can establish communication. Let's begin by hitting Edit Devices, and we're going to choose an empty slot. Hit Type, Now the thing about Digitech is that it is also the realm of brands that RGM has no pre-designed settings for, but that's okay because it's a very easy setup. So we're going to hit generic on the top left, and we'll select the PC and CC device as our type. The first thing we'll do is go ahead and name it, and we can call it Whammy Pedal, or you can do DG5, DG4, whatever you own or works best for you. The next thing we'll do is establish the MIDI channel that we set on the Whammy pedal just a little earlier. So go ahead and tap on the button for MIDI channel and put that in. Once you've set your MIDI channel, you can pretty much just leave the rest of these settings alone actually. There's nothing else you really need to do. Everything just happens to be so in line with what we're working with. So now that we have this established, if you are somebody that's going to use an expression pedal with your rig to control the pitch shifting on the Whammy, let's go over how to calibrate that right now. So let's get out of this and go back to the first page of the main menu, and what we'll do is select the button Expression Pedals. The Masterminds are pretty much compatible with any expression pedal out there. All you need is your pedal and a TRS cable to connect to the input of the expression pedals on the rear panel. So we'll just go ahead and select pedal 1. The next thing we'll do is calibrate the pedal by hitting the calibrate button, and all you have to do, starting from the minimum position of your expression pedal, just move it from the down to up position a couple times, and you'll see this little bar on the display screen ascend with it as you go up and descend as you go down. So once you're finished with that, you can just hit the done button underneath the display screen. The next thing we'll go ahead and do is actually establish which devices we're going to set it with. You're allowed to use up to 2 devices. The first device that I have set up in mind is for Axe-Fx 3, and the reason I do that is because I like to use a lot of the volume and wah shifting in the effect blocks, and sometimes the pitch shifting if I like how it sounds. The next thing you'll want to do is select the CC number that you're using. I have mine set to number 11. It doesn't really matter in this case of Axe-Fx because you can customize what the CCs you'd like to assign to whatever modifier controls that you're using. Now, as far as the Whammy pedal, I have it assigned at device number 2. For the CC number, now this number matters because CC number 11 represents the command that's required in order to shift the actual expression shifter on the real Whammy pedal. So at this point, you are now able to successfully operate a Whammy pedal remotely with an expression pedal, and you will soon be able to access presets. Let's go ahead and start doing that by heading over to the Mastermind GT edit on the computer, and I'll give you a demonstration of how this works. Okay, so here we are in the GT Edit menu. Let's go ahead and head over to the Buttons tab. So these 3 red buttons right here are the 3 most common Whammy pedal presets that I'll use at any given point. If there's ever a time that I may need another preset, I'll do either 2 things. I'll assign it as a local button in a local page just for that particular song, or I will actually set up my DAW to give an external command for that change as a preset. And for those of you who are interested in learning how to do external commands with your Mastermind, stay tuned for next week's episode. That's when I'm going to go over stuff like that. So let's go ahead and access one of these presets. We'll go with the 1 octave button. I like to color code the pedals I use, so that's why I'll have these buttons red. But anyway, starting from the first field, we're going to leave the button mode in normal, and then the type of button we'll be selecting is IA for instant access. The next field over will be the IA settings. For the most part, we can leave everything unchecked. I have CC Link currently checked because that's what I need in order to properly run external commands from a DAW. The next part is the most important as far as being able to call up your presets for the Whammy pedal and allowing the signal path of the pedal itself to go through your pedal chain. So the first action we want to put in is for our looper. It's very likely that you're running a Whammy pedal with a looper so that you may bypass the signal when you're not using the pedal. So what we're going to do is, we're going to set this action type as a CC toggle, and you will select the device for whatever the name of your looper is. In that case, mine is reading as effect gizmo. The answer for which CC number you need for the channel you're using will be in the diagram of the manual of whatever looper you're using. Any MIDI device that you ever get is likely going to have some kind of MIDI implementation chart or routing diagram in the back of your owner's manual, and you can probably look it up online, so I would just go ahead and refer to that. As far as off and on value is concerned, we will leave them at 0 and 127 respectively. So now that we have the ability to engage our whammy pedal, let's go ahead and decide which preset we want to use. So what we're going to do now is add another action by hitting the new action button, and this time the action type will be a PC, meaning program changes. This is what we need in order to call up the presets. In the device field, we will select whatever name we gave for the whammy pedal. So if we refer to our manual, in the back of it there is a diagram for each preset and which numbers that they require for on and off functions. So in this case, since we're working with a preset that allows us to do 1 octave shifting, we'll see in that manual that the off number will be 22 and the on number will be set to 1. Each preset has their own specified numbers. So to continue this example, let's have a look at another button I have. My favorite preset harmony is the 1 octave up and down preset. So let's go ahead and have a look. The actions that I have for the looper are the same as the other buttons. However, if we go to the preset action for the whammy pedal, we'll see that we now have different numbers. In order to turn the preset on, we'll need to insert number 20 into the on field, and then when it comes time to turn it off, we'll insert number 41. Now you might be wondering why we even need to have the off buttons. When I first started setting this up, I figured that if we just have the looper engaging and bypassing whenever we need the whammy pedal and just have the on number engage, then we should be good to go. However, that's actually not the case. If we never have anything turning the whammy pedal off, what happens in the case that we want to use a different preset in the whammy pedal? Well, if we never have anything turning it off, we could create an issue where you might have to tap multiple times on that other preset button, not only to engage the looper, but in order to get the preset on the whammy pedal to even arrive to the one that you need. So it's very important that we set our on and off buttons respectively. Once you've done that, you will never have any kind of communication issues, and I can fully guarantee that. I've been operating with the Mastermind GT for almost 4 years now, and I've been on stages and studio environments of all types, and with these settings calibrated the way they are, you should never have any kind of problems working with the whammy pedal. So, on the topic of performing live, there's actually one neat trick that I'd like to let you in on. So let's say that you're in the middle of playing a chorus section in your song, but at the end of that, you're going to be heading right into a guitar solo that requires pitch shifting. A guy like me will be performing with axe effects. So let's say that I'm on scene number 3 for the chorus, but I gotta change to scene 4 for the solo. But not only that, I prefer the whammy pedal's real pitch shifting tone, so I'll also have to select the button for that too. There's a couple of options you can do. One, you can use an external DAW command to turn on the whammy pedal, which is pretty much what I do anyway. But if you're somebody that doesn't necessarily want to go down that route, there's another thing we can do here. So let's go ahead and exit out of this and go to presets. So let's say that I'm performing live with quiet, and on a part of one last line, there's a guitar solo in the end. Maybe I want to go a little crazy and add some pitch shifting. So if I wanted to be in a position where I can only just press one button to bring not only the axe effect scene and the whammy pedal preset together, here's what we can do. We're going to tweak this page by checking the local page. And what that does is, it creates a page that comes before the other regular pages of your GT settings. So what we do here is, we check off Edit Local Buttons, and we'll double click on this lower left button right here. We'll make it an instant access button. We'll turn these two off, and check off CC Link. Now we'll start adding some actions. And the first one we're going to do is create a scene for the axe effects by adding a CC action. We'll select Axe Effects 3 as the device, And we'll go for CC number 34 for the scene changes, and we'll make it scene 4. The next action we'll add will be for the whammy pedal, so we'll select a PC, change the device to Digitech Whammy. Let's say that I wanted to use that same pitch harmony preset on the outro of this song. I would use the same settings by using 41 and 20 for the off and on numbers respectively. Now there's only one more action we need to include, and that's the one to engage the whammy pedal in the looper. So we'll do a CC toggle, select effect gizmo, CC number 80. So the most important thing to note is that the order that the actions are in really do matter, so we can reorder them to have Axe Effects be the last action here, and we will have the whammy pedal preset and the looper engager be the first two. So what would happen now is if we were to hit this button, we would not only be able to change to Axe Effects scene 4, but we would also be able to engage the looper and engage the preset we want from the whammy pedal, all with the press of one button. If we were to have the Axe Effects action be the first one in the list of actions, this would not work. It would only select the Axe Effects scene, and it would block signal going to the other actions. So if this is something you're interested in doing, this is how you would set it up. Now you may notice this is a really empty local page with almost no buttons. So you can assign whatever buttons you want to make your workflow convenient to you. However, I will do another episode very soon that goes over how to decide the best ways to run your workflow, and that will involve setting up local pages for matters like this. Alright everybody, so we're gonna stop it here. I want to thank you for watching this video, and I hope that you got a thing or two out of it. The idea of being able to call up presets from the Mastermind GT to any other MIDI device like the whammy pedal is one of my favorite things. I enjoy the convenience that it brings to performing on stage and even working in the studio, and I hope that's an experience that you get to have as well. So if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and leave a like, and if there are any questions you have, don't hesitate to leave a comment. I'll be happy to help. And lastly, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with future videos on the Mastermind GT. Thank you so much again. Have a good week.